Yeah, we'll sort of just get going. Thank you for joining me, man.
Yeah, no bother. Thanks for inviting me.
So, quite a lot of people from different places will hopefully be listening to this sort of thing. So, if we go for like Instagram bio, first page of Wikipedia, like, who are you? And then we'll go deep into
what's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who am I? I'm Pete Whittaker. I'm a climber, professional climber. I guess I'm known as a trad climber, crack climber, outdoor adventure climber, half of the Wide Boyz type duo. Yeah, there you go.
That's pretty much it. I feel like you undersell yourself just enough. So for people, the majority of people in climbing now will know you as the 50% of the Wide Boyz.
Yeah.
And that's you and Tom Randall. When did you first get together climbing with Tom?
So that started probably when I was 16 or 17. So I'm now 30, so we've been climbing together 30 years.
Shit.
Yeah. But the whole Wide Boyz stuff only started in 2009.
Was that the Century Crack?
Yeah, that was the Century Crack stuff. No, actually, sorry, it was 2011, just before we left on that Century Crack trip. That was the Wide Boyz thing.
How long had you been climbing before you how long had you been climbing before you met Tom? And then how did you meet Tom?
So I'd started climbing when I was about 7, just through my parents. So yeah, quite a while. And then I met Tom when I was 17, so I'd already been climbing 10 years.
Right, so you were already a climber.
I was already a climber. Yeah, I was definitely already a climber. Yeah, for sure.
I
already climbed. I'm not sure. I don't know if
I've heard
class.
some stories. I've heard some stories from the Staffordshire grit lads that say you might have been a climber by then.
Yeah, maybe, yeah. And then when I met Tom, he's actually 11 years older than me.
Okay.
But he'd started climbing like 10, 11 years later than me. So when we met, we'd both been climbing 10 years.
Okay. So you were like in climbing age, you were the same.
We were climbing age, we were the same, yeah, exactly. But in life age, I was younger. Yeah.
So because I have heard some stories about young Pete Whittaker turning up at the Roaches. I don't want to say stealing projects, but completing projects.
Who'd you hear that from?
The Staffordshire side.
The Staffordshire side, yeah.
But one of the best things I've heard, which sort of really sums, because I know you in a weird way. I know you in like a climby, Instagrammy way. But from what I know from that, I was talking to Andy Turner, who just like pure staff script climber and a bit of a psychopath. And he said he was stood in a pub in Staffordshire, the Wilkes Head, and his phone rang one day, and he was like, this child had got my phone number. And I think it's National Acrobat or something, and you like rang him up and you're like, would it be okay if, like, could you show me the numbers on how to get up a route?
Yeah.
And he said your mum took you there?
Yeah, she did,
and he was like, she's the scariest woman. Apparently, I think from what I've heard, it's either really run out, it's a fairly gnarly route, and apparently your mum just went, what are you, Peter? A man or a mouse?
Yeah.
Is
that what Andy remembers?
Yeah. And it's like, oh, this guy's going to be good.
Oh, it's funny that Andy can remember that. Yeah, basically, I remember when messaging Andy, but I sort of like wanted to go climbing at Ramshaw and Roaches, and I guess I was keen to meet people in the local scene. I think I was maybe 15, 16 at the time, maybe, or something. And obviously I didn't have a car or anything like that.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I knew Andy from like the guidebooks and stuff, and seeing his pictures and like doing first ascents there, and I knew he was like a local climber doing stuff. So I just managed to get his phone number from somewhere and then messaged him. I remember being really nervous messaging him like,
he was really nervous.
Yeah.
He was like, he's meant to be really good.
I was sort of thinking like, oh, is this guy even gonna reply, or why would he want to go climbing with me, or
Yeah.
that kind of thing. But then it was really nice, and we climbed together, and we climbed National Acrobat. I think we didn't do it on that first session, so we had to go back, and I think we both did it on the next session or something.
It's because the Roach is, for those who don't know, like there's Sheffield grit climbing and Staffordshire grit climbing, but the Roaches seems to be like a neutral ground between like the Churnick side of stuff and like Stanage and like our side.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you'd like the Churnick side of things. You would definitely class as more that. I mean, still with the Roaches and Ramshaw, you would definitely class it as more like the Staffordshire side, the Leek side. I always still feel like it's, that's like the other side of the peak. And then you have the side of the peak which is more like the Manchester way, which is like the Wimbury and Dovestones and those types of places.
Yeah, I've not been up to that bit of the peak.
Yeah,
like Staffordshire up here.
It's much greener.
Yeah. In like a lovely rolling fields or a horrible frog spawny death.
No, I always just think like, maybe I'm just like thinking of Wimbury, to be honest.
White brush.
I just think like, god, it's green.
Yeah.
No.
I find it because I lived in Leek for ages before I didn't climb. I knew the climbers like who'd come into the pub and stuff. And then since starting climbing, you read guidebooks and it's like, why is Andy in this? Like, why is Justin Critchlow in it? Or Shad's like, why are all these people who were just knocking about the pub? Like, why are they in these guidebooks?
Did you know them?
Yeah, I knew them, but I knew them as people who climbed in the pub.
Oh, right, okay, yeah.
And they'd get pissed and do pull-ups on like the door frames and stuff. But I never really understood who they were as climbers, like doing first descents on the Roaches. I think Staffordshire Grit has got its own style in climbing as well. It feels sort of like it doesn't want you on it.
Yeah, some of the grit's a bit finer as well. Yeah, like at the far end of the Roaches, at the what's it called, Fifth Cloud or something. There's like some slabs over there, and the grit's. It's like some of the nicest grit actually over there, on the far end. It's like really fine grained and good. Yeah, definitely there's a bit of a different feel to it, I think.
Yeah, so let's start Staffordshire side, because you've repeated some mad stuff there. You've got some ridiculous first descents. One of the stupidest looking like high heel rock overy things on was it like an old mantle problem?
That wasn't on the Staffordshire side.
Was that not?
That's Burbage South.
Oh, no,
I mean, no, not that one.
Like a child.
Yeah, the heel hook one.
Because there's the one on. Is it Dynamics?
Yeah, there's Dynamics. Yeah.
There was another.
Oh yeah, that one.
Problem
Yeah.
Where it was just.
That was at the Roaches.
No. I'm sure that was like a Roach's mantle.
There was a Roach's mantle. That wasn't run out though.
Okay.
So there was this thing there's a route called Elegy, which is a really popular E2, famous E2, and then a guy called Paul Higginson did the direct start to it. Yeah. And in the guidebook it had, this was in the old Roach's guidebook, it says like, I can't remember exactly what it says, like you need biceps as big as Paul Higginson and be able to do a one-arm mantle to be able to do it. And I don't think anybody really had any luck on it. And then I think basically I came along with a slightly different approach and just like put my heels really high and just start rocking over on them, and it seemed to work.
It's a really interesting bit because there's sort of this vibe of he shouldn't be doing this, and then you just get up somehow and it's like, oh shit, you can. There's other ways around the problem.
Yeah. But I was always like, I was never really the strongest, like in terms of climbing, and I'm certainly like not the strongest these days ever compared to like the people who are coming through. But I feel like
it's weird to hear because you're known as being quite strong.
I mean,
like finger strength is.
Yeah, but like I guess in a reasonable sense, then I'm,
Yeah.
I'm all right.
And
But in terms of if
mono.
yeah, but if you're always like looking up to the stronger people above you, then I guess you always like class yourself as a bit weak, don't you?
Yeah.
But maybe like people would class me as strong from people who are less strong. I don't know. But anyway, I always feel like I had a bit of my approach to climbing was more figuring things out and being like finding different ways and using a bit of technique,
a bit tricky,
rather than pulling.
Yeah, pulling's really hard.
Yeah, pulling's really hard, so try not to do it.
So, have you got like a standout route in? Because you've done so much, it's sort of. I think it's better to rather than go, what's the favourite route you've climbed? Because there's thousands of them. But like, do you remember that when you were that age? What was the thing that made you go like, "Oh, I'm fucking smashing it"? Like,
I don't know. I'm not really sure. I thought I'm smashing it, but
well, like what meaned, like one of those routes that you might have worked for ages, or you really wanted to get ticked.
Yeah, I mean there's the one at Wimbury, which is like the Baron Greenback,
which
so
fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, so that was like a project for a while, and Miles Gibson had tried it. He's like another really strong local Sheffield climber, and then I climbed like a left-hand version into that.
Yeah.
And I remember I was actually working with Miles at the time, and like doing tree work because we were both tree surgeons. And I remember talking to him about it, and I said I'd done it and that kind of stuff. And then he sounded really disappointed that I'd come in from the left. And like I knew the true line was always from the bottom. But when I was trying the bottom bit, I broke off one of the crucial handholds.
Right.
Which is why I started coming in from the left. But then when he sounded really disappointed, I thought like, I need to go back and like, like have a look at this. And then I found some other sequence where you could do it without the crucial thing that I broke off. It just turned out to be much harder.
Just really hard.
It was quite hard, that bottom bit, yeah, right. And a little bit bold.
A bit deathy.
Not deathy, but
like bad.
I don't know, because I never fell off it when I was leading it. I actually did it first go when I led it, so that was good. But I do remember thinking like, that bottom boulder problem is quite tricky.
What do you reckon it'd go out as a boulder problem?
It's probably like a 7C plus boulder.
Shit.
So like
it's
I mean not like really really hard in terms of today's bouldering standards, but it's sort of like hard enough when it's a bit of a dodgy fall, and then you have to climb like an 8A plus above there or something, so it's it makes it like a little bit tricky.
Well, because you've got a bit of a name as being a bit of a psychopath.
And do I?
Well, you've done
not.
Dynamics was like you don't fall off. Like don't fall off Dynamics because
off the crux above. Like,
because that's.
Well, I guess off. Yeah, I don't really know. Whether
just don't fall off.
Just don't fall off. Yeah, it's the best thing.
And like Baron Greenback, don't fall off.
Yeah, before the bolts, but after the bolts, then it's
and
good.
When you say the bolts, you mean some dodgy, rusty.
Dodgy, rusty things. Yeah, but I did fall off on them once.
Did you? They've been weighted.
On the original coming from the left.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, there's three of those bolts, so I think they're probably going to be there for a while.
Yeah.
We'll see. I hope nobody falls on them and they totally rip out, because that would be really bad.
Yeah, that'd be. Yeah, it's not a good time.
It's not good.
When did you sort of make the move into doing like gnarly routes then, like bold run out stuff?
That was probably when I was about 15.
Yeah.
So I met somebody called Ben Cossey, who's like an Australian climber. Really good, really strong, and he came over to the UK and was living in the UK for a year or a couple of years, and he was living with my climbing coach actually, who I was sort of like working with through the junior British climbing team, and I just got into climbing with him outside, and he was just, doing all these kind of bold grit routes relatively easily. And at the time, I was probably climbing about E3.
Okay.
And then I just, you just get like pulled along, don't you? Pulled along into it. And before I knew it, I was sort of just like, it's like on-sighted this bold E5, or I just head pointed this E6, and then I'd done this E7, and you just get pulled along without really knowing it because somebody else is doing it and they're making it look easy.
And it's just they're the people you're around.
Yeah, they're the people you're around, and that's what happens. And I guess my ability was at that sort of E6, 7, 8 level at the time in terms of climbing. I could climb the routes, but I just never done any of that stuff before.
Okay, so it's just getting used to that feeling of being run out.
Yeah, I guess so, or more just like knowing that those routes were in my ability, because growing up, it's not like my parents ever climbed at that level, so
right.
They never, like it just never went. I never saw anybody climbing at that level.
Did your
really,
parents climb much, or?
Yeah, they did, yeah.
What level were they climbing at when you sort of started climbing?
Well, Mum at her best has climbed up to about E2,
Shit.
I think, and then Dad at like hardly S or E1.
So for
the best, but I mean they're decent climbers. Climb 7A on sport.
No way.
Yeah, that kind of
That's
stuff.
really cool.
Maybe not quite anymore. A little bit below that, but.
Did you climb much with them once you'd sort of moved past them, if that makes sense? Do you still go out?
I don't really climb with them much anymore. I guess probably from the age of 20. I mean, we used to go out as like a family, and like climbing at the crag, and Mum would lead stuff and I'd second stuff and that kind of stuff. But
so that was like your start.
That was kind of like start into it. But then I guess like throughout like teenage years and into my early 20s, then I would still actually. It's sort of like the role was changed a little bit, and Mum started belaying me more,
you'd lead it,
and I'd lead it. But because they were like really like hard routes or head point routes, Mum would still come out and belay.
Oh no!
So it was like.
Is it dynamics?
Yeah, she'd belay me on that.
Trying to figure out where she's going to jump off.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's like, this is your mum.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
And other people are like, why is she sending her son up there?
Yeah, maybe they were just pleased that I was funneling my energy into, I don't know, death routes.
Yeah, he could be taking drugs, but instead he's doing death
could
routes.
just be like on the street drinking and taking drugs or whatever.
So, because dynamics is sort of the direct to Braille trail.
Yeah.
When did you, like we both know Johnny fairly well, did you have like a knowledge of the history of that piece of rock, or was it you just saw a line and wanted to climb a line?
No, I had knowledge of the history of that rock. I'd already done Braille trail anyway. And
which makes sense.
Yeah. And there was at the time there was a thing on the internet which was kind of going around called the grit list.
Yes.
And there was a section on it which had last great problems.
Yeah.
On the grit, and it's got a list of like lots of well-known last great problems that people have tried or haven't done and stuff like that. And this one was on there, like direct to Braille trail was on there. And I also knew a few other people had tried it as well. And it was local to me, and I'd done some stuff at Burbage South before, so I just thought, I don't know, just stick a rope down it and see what's going on.
Yeah. How long did that take you to sort of work and then do?
I think I tried it once, and I tried like that Manta way, that original sort of thing that not loads of people, that some people have been trying. And then on the second session, I actually came to it after doing a route on the Cowperstone called Warm Love. It's a Johnny route.
Yeah.
And I did a sequence where it involves a massive heel hook. like a really high dynamic heel hook thing.
Not a shock.
Yeah. And I think I was in maybe that frame of mind, like the heel hook frame of mind. So then when I got on that route, I was just like, why don't I just put my heel up here? And then I put my heel up and I was like, this works. And then
just did it.
Yeah, and then I did the sequence of moves in that session. And I was like, this thing totally works.
Yeah.
So then I came back and had some more sessions. And actually the move to the jump to the lip, before the heel hook thing, I thought was the hardest move.
Yeah.
But just because I'm not very good at that kind of stuff, like jumping and so that move actually took me longer than the rock over that everybody knows.
No way.
Yeah.
Because you're sort of known as I want to say like proper British trad climbing. Like, I'm gonna be here. I'm gonna be in an impossible position, holding pebbles for a while, and then I'll reach these and I'll find a way to get up to there. Why do you think you went that way instead of like? Because a lot of 30-year-old climbers were around with big dynos and like slappy, jumpy.
Yeah. I guess I moved into that when I was, like I say, 15, 16, 17 from meeting Ben. And at the time I was also doing competitions, and I was doing a few international competitions as well.
Oh, no way.
And to be honest, like I wasn't that great at it. Like I was alright, and I did alright in like national competitions. But then when I started going into Europe and doing some European competitions, I just found like I got too nervous and I wasn't really enjoying it and that kind of stuff. And then at the same time I started climbing outside with Ben more, and I just enjoyed it more.
Yeah.
And I think I just ended up doing that rather than, carrying on with the whole competition thing. And that just happened, and then you just end up doing it more, and then you get better at doing that thing, and then you do it more, and you just it's like a snowballing effect, isn't it? So
it's sort of weirdly refreshing to see, like, sort of a modern climbing film, and it's going to be someone either run out or by themselves, which we'll talk about because the stuff you've done by yourself is insane, but it's not going to be massive jumps to a jug and swingy stuff. It's going to be like, this is your climbing videos have like a feeling of tension about them.
Yeah, I mean, it's good I like to be in control when I'm climbing as well, Yeah. I don't like to feel like I'm out of control, slapping wildly and
just hoping.
You're just hoping. I like to feel like it's working,
Yes.
Yeah.
So I feel like anyone who's ever climbed will get the same question of like the Al Cap, because it's a big bit of rock. But you did that by yourself. Like, to say you did it solo on the internet, people will immediately go, Alex Honnold did it. But you did like rope soloing, which is a fairly, rope soloing in itself isn't that weird, but lead rope soloing a big wall seems insane.
Yeah, I guess it's slightly less common, you could say. But I mean, the fact of rope soloing, I didn't like select rope soloing as an activity because I wanted to rope solo. What it was I wanted to climb a big wall by myself. And at the time I didn't know how to do that. And then I was sort of like looking at objectives and things that would inspire me, and I realised that El Cap hadn't been free climbed alone in under 24 hours.
Yes.
So I was like, I'm going to do that. And then it was like, okay, how the hell do I do that? And then it was like, right, there's this thing called rope soloing. Okay, let's have a look at that. So it wasn't like, I'm going to do rope soloing and now I'm going to do that. It was more like,
I want to do that.
Yeah, I want to do that, and the way to do it is rope soloing.
So the video of you doing it, I think it was a BMC film. Did you really just start at Millstone, just doing laps on, I want to say Bond Street, but it might be the wrong route?
Yeah, do you know what the funny thing here is? That isn't actually how I started, but because what I did was I ordered the Silent Partner, got that in the post, and then I sort of like hung off it a bunch of times from the pull-up bar, and then just to make.
I did exactly the same because I spoke to you about doing some rope soloing.
Yeah.
And I tied a rope around the banister and like through greenery and stuff, and I was like, I'm just going to jump down the stairs. See how that goes.
Yeah, it was pretty much the same thing. It was like, testing it. But at the time, I was working a route. What was it called? What was it called? One at Kerber.
One of yours? Or?
No. It's to the right of like Peapod, or that. It's an E8. Can't remember what it's called. Anyway, I was working that.
Yeah.
To the left of an E2, comes out of an E2,
yes.
And goes up a.
I've got a feeling. Is it
Heart, something Hart. It was done by John Hart. Anyway.
I think Johnny may have done it at one point, and from what I've heard, broke a hold off.
Oh, potentially.
Like high up
Yeah.
and above gear, and Paul Mitchell was belaying him, and he said he heard the hold come off, and he just locked the rope and was like, my friend's going to die. And Johnny was just stood there like, oh, that was a bit much. It's like, how have you not fell off? He's like, I don't know. Let's not talk.
Yeah.
So you're working that?
I was working that, so I just thought, well, I may as well go and try and rope solo it. And yeah, as like the first thing I'd ever rope soloed.
Was that on lead?
Yeah. So I went and rope soloed this E8 7A for the first thing I'd ever rope soloed, and it was a total disaster. I mean, I got up there, but it was total carnage. I wasn't.
Imagine you tying off a block at the bottom, just going, okay.
Yeah, pretty much that. Yeah, it was. And then after that, I was like, oh shit, I need to actually work out how to do this properly. So then I went to Millstone and did some easier stuff.
Yeah, that's a sensible way.
Yeah.
So, for those who don't sort of, and there's I think a lot of climbers who don't really understand what lead rope soloing involves. You lead a route by yourself. The ropes either tied to a block, a tree, an anchor, to gear. You've got a device, whether it's a Silent Partner, a gree-gree, whatever other people want to use. Place gear, get to the top, build an anchor, abseil down, and then either reclimb or Jumar the route.
Yep.
So El Cap's like 3,000 meters.
Feet.
Because 3,000 metres is
1,000.
real big.
Yeah, 3,000 metres. Yeah. 1,000 metres, 3,000 foot. Yeah.
But you covered that 3 times. Well, you climbed it twice.
Yeah.
Abseiled it all.
Yeah. I mean, I climbed it free once, abseiled and cleaned it once, and Jumar'd it once.
In 24 hours.
Yeah. But I mean, it's not like.
Whatever
like
you're about to say, it is exactly.
It is. Like obviously, it is a lot of work. But
it's not that bad.
Yeah, it's more the like actual leading of hard pitches when you're rope soloing is just like quite faffy, so it takes more energy out of you. Yeah. And also like Jumaring with a backpack as well.
Yeah.
Because I didn't really haul. I just Jumar'd with a backpack.
So you always sort of fall.
Yeah. It's just like when you go by yourself and you just have to take all that stuff with you, like all the water for 24 hours and that kind of stuff. So it's just like it's kind of that stuff which is tiring. It's maybe not actually the. I mean, doing it physically is obviously tiring, but if you just to say like, climb that and you didn't have any of the faff, or Jumar that and you didn't have any of the faff, then it would be much easier. It's the faff that makes you tired.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, how many times had you climbed El Cap before you soloed it?
I think 4.
The same route, or
No.
had you done like?
I'd done that route twice
Yep.
before. So I'd done it once over 4 days,
Yep.
and then once in 1 day with a partner.
Yep.
And then I rope soloed it. And I'd also climbed 2 other routes over 4 or 5 days
Okay.
on El Cap.
So you're living on a wall for 4 or 5 days.
I had done
Yeah.
that, yeah.
So, because El Cap's got like, I feel like it's diluted the history a little bit because of what it is. Because El Cap's just big, and everyone sees free solo and goes, El Cap's really big. But there's like a history of people spending ridiculous amounts of time on the wall, a lot of stuff going wrong, a lot of like hardship on that bit of rock. Did you, like, have you aid climbed? Did you do any aid there? Have you done any of the old school El Cap stuff?
I have, excuse me. Before I did that rope solo, then I'd only done free climbing.
Yeah.
But after that, I have done some other stuff. I've done an aid climb called the Shield.
Oh, cool.
Which was just like full aid, like
proper
with beaks and just like hand placing beaks and that kind of stuff.
Nope.
I mean, it's not like one of the really gnarly hard aid routes, but yeah. No, it's not. I mean, it's like an average aid route, you know. It gets C4 or A3.
Okay.
So if you use a hammer, it's A3. If you don't use a hammer, it's C4.
Right. I didn't know there was a separate.
Yeah. So C is like clean aid.
Right.
A is
Hammering.
whack it aid. Yeah. yeah. And I've also followed some harder aid lines up to like A4, but that's just like demarring and cleaning and lowering out and that kind of stuff.
So if you're following aid, the rope's basically tied off.
Yeah.
The top
Yeah, it's a really easy job. Yeah, you just have to know how to clean gear and like negotiate your way around traverses and do low routes and like that kind of stuff. Yeah, but it's pretty simple stuff.
So, when did you start the rope solo? What time was that? At like midnight, 1 in the morning time.
Oh, right, when did I actually start it? Yeah, I started 3 in the afternoon. The rope solo of El Cap.
Okay, and then you went through the night.
I went through the night.
So you, because I was watching some stuff and reading about like Honnold doing the 3 in 24 hours and stuff. Like it started at midnight. He said the weirdest thing was like climbing in the dark's easy because you're just in a little bubble.
Yeah.
But then he said like sunrise comes and you're like, oh.
Yeah.
But you'd sort of built that exposure in through the after, like you knew you were high up before.
Yeah. But I sort of have the same feeling. Like when it's dark, it's quite nice because you just can't see the exposure. You're just climbing, you're just focusing on the moves in your little head torch light, and it's quite good, really.
And then sun comes up and you're like, oh, I'm much higher up than
Yeah. But I think when you've been climbing in Yosemite for, I'd already been climbing in Yosemite for a few weeks. It's always when you ever go back there, it's always like takes you a few days to get back into the exposure. I always think, but then like after a few days, you're sort of back into it and you're comfortable and
because like I remember on a much smaller scale doing a route on clog, and you're like, oh, I'm high up now.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, this is really high.
Yeah.
And it was like a hard severe. It's like a really easy route. It's like a very far east slab something. But in the full height of clog, we put like 11 bits of gear, including like belays.
Yeah, it's not that many.
No, it's really not a lot. But like
was that Johnny's idea?
No, it's mine.
Oh, it's your idea. Oh, right, yeah.
It's like, oh, we should do one on like Great Wall. Pick an easy route up Great Wall. I was like, I've seen this. It's like it looks really cool. Nice slab climb. Hard severe. It's like a comfortable grade. Like, what can go wrong?
Yeah.
And it took me like 20 minutes to do the first move, like off the floor, and I was trying to put gear in whilst I stood on the floor. I was like, I can't go high up.
Yeah.
Like 2 pitches in, I was just like, okay, this is where I am.
Yeah.
You're like, you got any gear? It's like, nope.
Yeah.
You look down and there's like an RP naught, and Johnny's just sat holding a rope, and the rope's blowing over there. But it's strange how quick that exposure just goes, well, this is where I am. Like, I'm in this situation. You can't abseil down because you've got no gear.
Yeah.
So you're just going up, belaying, well, using bits of rock as gear and stuff. And have you been in, because you've done stuff in Norway where that looked, with all due respect, fucking stupid. Like some of the stuff in Norway looks like you're putting gear in, but it's not really gear. Like there's big bits of rock that you're
not falling off,
moving.
Yeah.
Instead of like climbing up, you're just pulling, mounting down.
Yeah, I guess that's the difference with where you climb or what rock you climb on, or whether the route's been well travelled. I mean, if
does Elcap feel safe then, in a weird way?
in a big wall sense, then it is feels very safe compared to other stuff, because I mean, you're like 5 minutes from the road. I mean, the base is like 5 or 10 minutes from the road, depending on which route you go to. I guess it's much further if you go higher up, but and also there's sort of loads of people around. The routes are well travelled. I mean, there is definitely loose stuff, but a lot of it's quite cleaned. There's chalk on stuff. Holds are brushed, you know. On the well-travelled stuff, yeah. But in Norway, like it's more, it's more like a bit more adventure, you know, like. Yeah,
the videos make it adventurous one way of.
Yeah, because you don't. There's just not that like massive climbing community of hundreds of climbers going there every year. Yeah. It's just like a few people do the routes and.
Which is nuts, because some of the routes look like incredible routes.
Yeah, they are. But I mean, people don't want to go to Norway because it rains a lot. So.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. You don't want to go to Norway. It's like going on a climbing trip. Yeah. It might rain the whole time.
Yeah, I think that's it. I mean, probably everybody wants to go to Norway because it's a really beautiful country. Yeah. But the fact of going on like a 1 week trip.
And it could rain. 7 days.
Probably puts people off a little bit. Whereas you could get like, you know, really good weather somewhere and definitely get your 5 days of climbing in when you've got your week off work type of thing.
Yes, that makes sense.
Yeah, I guess it's just.
But is your partner from Norway?
Yes. Yeah.
So it's you've got that.
Just
go and chill out in Norway.
I do have that. Yeah.
Yeah. The advantage.
That advantage. Yeah.
Just going to Norway.
Yeah. Yeah.
What? Because Mari's like insane as a climber, and I think people sort of. I didn't really realise how good she was until you look at like route she's done. When did you meet Mari as a climber, or did you sort of know her and then?
Yeah, no, I definitely met her as a climber.
So that was just going climbing and then.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, she was already a climber when I met her. Yeah.
Yeah. How long have you two been together?
Like nearly 4 years, I guess.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
Yeah, so she must have been climbing. Because she's done just all the hard routes.
Yeah, she's done a bunch of hard routes. Yeah, for sure. But she's a really good like all rounder, you know. Like I don't really know many other people who are as consistent in a lot of disciplines across the board of climbing. You know, like.
Okay, so like good boulder.
Yeah, she's really strong boulderer. Good at trad climbing. Does ice climbing. Good at like mixed climbing. Good at skiing.
Terrifying.
Like. Yeah.
The video of you and Tom ice climbing is one of my favourite things. Because I was there like, it's Tom and Pete, like, fucking loads of respect for these guys, like, incredible climbers. And
they're just totally puntering. Yeah, exactly, yeah.
It's like
something classic.
You're trying to, like, clip an ice axe to a bag, and it's like 3 minutes of a film. It's just you two going, it's got to go that way.
Yeah,
it's like, no, it's stabbing me. This is...
Yeah, no, totally.
Could she... She did raise roof, hasn't she?
Yeah, yeah.
Which is, it's got a reputation as a horrific climb, especially if you're small as well.
Yeah, I mean that's what everybody says, but then she came up with some different beta and was like, didn't think it was too bad if you were small if you used like this different stacking beta. So
okay.
I think everybody's just done it the same way before. Everybody's just done like this really deep fist jam and like rolling around this fist jam and probably not really looked at like the possibilities of any other way.
So it's been like, this is how you climb raised roof.
Yeah, I think so.
People
Yeah.
have gone, well, I can't do that, so I can't climb raised roof, or it's really hard.
Yeah, maybe. But because she's got smaller hands and smaller knees, you know, she can use a different technique where her knee fits a bit better.
Yeah.
But maybe the hands are a little bit worse. Whereas for the guys, maybe like it's a little bit easier using the fist jam, but the knee's a bit worse. So it's sort of like swings and roundabouts really.
Like the videos of her just getting jams in and then just rotating almost 360 degrees around like a knee lock. Like, how's that not fell off?
Yeah.
I think, so like I want to say Pit Pony, where she ended up like just in a horrific position and was like, I'll just shuffle.
Yeah.
So is she, because you're now an off-width climber, or a crack climber.
Yeah, I guess that's maybe what I'm
become
classed as, yeah. But I don't feel like that's like my...
I keep saying this.
Yeah.
People are like, oh, like the crack climber. I was like, no.
Yeah, but that's I think that's just due to like the business and Wide Boyz and having that grown, and also like the YouTube videos. It's like based on crack climbing.
A rock climber who's really good at climbing cracks.
Yeah.
But also really good at just rock climbing, like generally just climbing.
Yeah, I'd say I'm like, I'd like to think I'm relatively, you know, well versed across the spectrum of climbing. I think my bouldering is a little bit below par, maybe, but
that's a
I
big
like
par.
But I'd like to think sort of I'm kind of reasonably well rounded.
So where do you so in the scale of climbing, do you see yourself as, say, like, I'm 8 out of 10 as a climber, but as a crack climber, I'm like a bit better? Or do you just think you're just a climber and living in the Peak District, you're going to climb cracks?
I think, I mean, I definitely like as a crack climber, I definitely feel like I have, like I am sort of above. That's like one of my strengths, I would say for sure. But then I also think, you know, I'm reasonably good at that sort of like adventure type, big wally, loose trad, like proper trad climbing, you know, going out and starting at the bottom and like
we're here
on-sighting stuff, trad climbing, you know. I feel like I'm relatively all right at that as well. Those two things. But I think crack climbing like aids that part of climbing.
Massively.
Yeah.
Like, you see people, I can't remember what it was, I think it was Unprintable. People from the south came up, and Southerners don't climb cracks generally. It's like a big generalisation. But like trying to lay back Unprintable, and they're like, oh, I saw on like a UKC thing that said the file's impossible, it's really hard to lay back. And it's like, just put jams in.
Yeah. I mean, these things are easier to jam for sure.
And it's such a key part of climbing that like I will hunt for jam, even climbing indoors.
Yeah.
Like if there's holds that are close together, I'm like, can I jam that? Can I rest?
Yeah.
So did you? Because it's hard to phrase, but you and Tom seem to have invented a lot of jams.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if they're invented or not. People have probably been using them. We've just given them stupid names.
Okay.
So,
No, that's
maybe we just name them so people can sort of like refer to them in different. Yeah.
The Cray flappy paddle.
Yeah. Maybe people have probably been using this sort of rubbish.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
what?
The Cray flappy paddle. Yeah.
figure it out.
The cray. Hang on, what's a cray? Cray is this way. Cray flappy paddle. Don't know what that. Maybe it's like. I'm not sure.
Just one somewhere that will be the jam.
Yeah, it will. Yeah.
So did you gravitate towards crack climbing consciously, or was it just sort of you were climbing and there happened to be loads of cracks around?
I think it was definitely from meeting Tom actually, because he was already a little bit into crack climbing, and he was trying a route called Greenspit out in Italy, and he sort of like invited me on that trip, and I thought like, I actually probably need to do something that resembles a jam before I go out there. And he had like a small crack machine in his living room, and so like I had a few goes on that, and I started doing like a bunch of training that might be related to that route in a way. And then I went on that trip and we tried that route, and we did a whole bunch of other sort of like first ascents in the area, which when you're doing first ascents and you're sort of like looking at lines, the lines that you look at are crack lines.
Because they're like super obvious.
Because they're the obvious ones. So then I think I just kind of got into it more and more from that, and doing more of this kind of adventure style trad climbing stuff. Just, you realise that jamming is an integral part of doing that sort of climbing.
There's a crack.
There's a crack. You're placing gear, so there's going to be a crack somewhere. You may as well jam it.
Yeah, that's a super obvious way of thinking about it.
Yeah.
So because you've done basically every crack climb in the peak, probably. Because didn't you?
Yeah, I guess I've
do
done
like
quite a lot. Yeah.
On challenge of doing all of them.
Yeah, I guess on the easier scale, maybe there's some sort of E5 and above type thing that I haven't done, but I guess I've done all like the classics, because we did like the Brown and Willans challenge, like the peak Brown and Willans challenge, which is all the Joe Brown and Don Willans routes in East and West Peak, and
which if you can't jam, you are.
Yeah, if you can't, I mean, it definitely helps to jam. There's a lot of jamming on that.
Just lay back in constant.
Yeah, then it'd be a nightmare.
So you did quite a lot of crack climbing, but then you've done like recovery drink, and so where in like the scale? Because you seem to be really good from like that wide to like that wide.
Yeah.
Where's like where do you want to be as a climber? Like
in terms of cracks?
Yeah.
What's my perfect width?
Yeah, not like strong, but like, would you be happy like 3,000 feet of chimney?
I think you just want hand jams, don't you? If it was like 3,000 feet, you just want hand jams. Can you imagine like 3,000 feet of fingers? It'd be awful. Or like 3,000 foot of ring locks or something. Totally awful. Or 3,000 foot of off width. It's just totally awful.
So off width.
Hand jamming is the perfect size.
So a hand jam is exactly how it sounds.
Yeah.
Off width is anything bigger than a fist. Is that right?
Yeah, anything that's just slightly bigger than your fist, up to being able to like get inside it, pretty much. Yeah.
And that again is, you just seem to be really well known for
doing that.
I was really well known as a crack climber, or trad climber, or off width climber, or just really well known as a climber. But like with the off width stuff, and from doing some testing with you here last time, you seem to be really good at suffering.
Yeah, suffering's good.
And you seem to get better when things get bad. Like.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, like you hung on a pull-up bar for 20 minutes and 21 seconds.
That was that was quite funny.
Which is like a terrible idea.
Yeah.
That's too long. That's too many minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I guess that's maybe one of the things I'm better at, is just the ability to suffer a little bit, or just like put up with it, because I think most people, or not most people, but some people will give up before they
can't do it, they'll give up.
They think they can't do it because it's starting to hurt. or something. But actually, like, there's always like a little bit more you can give.
Yeah,
I think.
100%.
Yeah. I mean, usually like after I think I've given everything and you finish the set or rep or climb or doing whatever, and maybe you failed in finishing it.
Yeah.
I still feel like you stop, and then like 2 seconds later you're like, shit, like I could have put more effort in.
Yeah,
like it's a weird
you
feeling.
did a CrossFit thing that like Magnus has done and loads of.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And I watched that with my partner, and you were like hanging, like he's in a bad way, and she was, oh my god. I was like, he's going to be annoyed, and I'm sure like it was either on Instagram or like an extra at the end of the video. You were like, I was unhappy with this, so I've done it again.
Yeah.
It took like a minute off my time.
Yeah.
She's like, how did you know? It's like, I saw him do testing, and it's like his farmer's holds looked like he might do 30 seconds, and then when he started shaking and was like actively unhappy, he's like, oh, I'm good now. His body just goes, oh, we're doing this again.
Yeah.
Was that, have you always been like that? Like, have you always wanted to be as good as you can be? Or were you just, like, did you do sport other than climbing, or have you always climbed?
Yeah, I think so. I've always sort of like wanted to do the best. Anything that I've done, it's always like I want to be able to do it to the best that I can. Really, I don't like doing things in a half effort. I mean, that could be like climbing. That could be work. That could be
just getting it done.
Just getting it done. I mean, even when I was doing like tree surgery work back in the day or route setting work, like I didn't want to do like a half effort or half job. Like, you know, it had to be like a good job at the end, or else I was like really dissatisfied with what I'd done. And I think it's the same with climbing, or the same with a training set, or the same with that. So
it seems to be a common theme with, like, through doing this podcast, I've been super fortunate to speak to really successful people in various fields, and that just seems to be like a really common thing. Like, I just want to do it as well as I can, and it's not setting that to someone else's standard, because like, look at silence. Like, silence is for many people like the pinnacle of rock climbing, but you being like, I want to put 100% effort in on whatever I'm doing, doesn't necessarily mean you're comparing yourself to Andre as like an athlete, but you're just going, he puts 100% effort in, he's done this, I'm going to put 100% effort in, I'm going to do this. And successful people in everything just seem to have that, like, the guy I spoke to yesterday was like, it's my hard, I want to work hard for me. And if that's really easy for someone else or impossible for someone else, that's irrelevant. You just want to do the best job you can, work as hard as you can, and get results from it.
Yeah.
That being said,
definitely.
are you going to give silence
Am I going to give silence another go?
Because it, like,
no, I'm not.
Judging by the YouTube comments, it can be jammed. So why don't you just climb?
Yeah, I mean, there's a whole load of very, very difficult stuff below that, which, those whole start of those crux moves are way beyond what I am like capable of doing. Or, like,
I love that video. Like, looking at the comments, it's like, oh, he's really close to doing silence. It's like a lot of rock.
There's a lot of climbing. And there's a lot of climbing above that. It's a lot of rock. I did about 5 meters, not even that. Right. I did about 2 of Andre's moves. Yeah.
But you jammed them really
But
well.
I jammed them, yeah. In about 8.
You just like lock.
Yeah, exactly.
Lock,
Yeah. I'm just like freaking ridiculous. It was fun to go on it though.
Yeah? Does it feel doable in any, like, in your, could you think like, in a year, could you climb silence?
No.
Or in 2 years, or?
No. Well, first one, I don't have the motivation to go and do that. So it's just never going to happen. And also, it's just like, it's like a level above.
Yeah.
Just a level above what, I mean, yeah.
But then like Century Crack was a level above a whole, because like crack climbing in the US is like a niche.
Yeah, but I think you also have to find things that are going to fit your style and strengths, you know. And for me as a climber and like athlete or whatever, or like doing sports, I feel like my strength has always come in that grind, suffering, endurance type thing. So if you said to me, go and do like a totally different sport which had that sort of, say like ultra swimming for 9 days, then
I feel like you'd be annoyingly good at it.
Yeah, like something like that. I feel like, oh yeah, like I could get into that.
Yeah.
But like you say, go and climb this boulder problem, or go and like pick up this really heavy weight on 1 rep max.
Yeah.
Don't feel like that's what my body is designed for.
Yeah, you do
Like,
seem to just be good at being sad for a while.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and I think like as much effort as you could put into something like that, there's always going to be limitations to what your body is naturally good at anyway.
Yeah.
And I think that sort of really powerful, hard, single moves, 1 rep max, that type of thing.
Just not your bag.
I just find it much harder to get gains
Yeah.
in that kind of thing compared to doing endurance, grind it out,
Yeah.
that kind of stuff.
And you
Like
can't jam slopers.
slopers, I'm alright slopers, yeah. I like slopers, yeah. I've got good
pebbles.
surface area on my hand.
Slopers and pebbles.
Yeah, slopers and pebbles, yeah, that's alright.
Is there a dream route though? Is there something you're like, not even like in the next 6 months or 12 months, is there something you're like, one day I want to get up that, or have you got up that already?
I mean, I've definitely, there's always projects, and
Yeah.
like whenever you do something, it's like, or whenever you complete a big project, depending on how long it took you or how big it is, you're always satisfied for a time. That could be like 5 seconds if it didn't take you very long, or it could be, 2 weeks or a month or whatever. But then after it's like settled down, you're always like looking for the next thing, and then you always think back like, oh, I could do more than that, or I didn't quite try hard enough, or like there's more effort I could put into something, or I could do something else. So then there's always projects. So I do have projects.
Because that's the tricky thing with climbing, is where if you talk about projects, it could be a super secret project, or is there like a well-known route that you just want to get up?
I'm just
or
trying
like
to think
a
of
wall, or I'm not trying to.
Yeah, I guess all my projects are
Super secret.
no, not super secret. It's just like all the ones that I think of. They're not what other people have done.
Okay.
It's like
New routes.
it's
or
either new routes or
variations, or
firsts in something, or that kind
like
of thing.
the first
Like
free ascent, or the first.
Yeah.
Should
It's
do
like,
the first aid ascent or something.
Yeah, first aid ascent.
Do the first aid ascent in
Yeah.
silence. Just really piss everyone off.
On gear.
Yeah.
On trad gear.
Yeah, just like knock copperheads in.
Yeah.
Go full.
Oh, imagine just going up with like some cams on sticks and stuff, and just like trying to aid your way up that thing.
So I've done it.
It'd be totally desperate. It'd be really hard to aid it. I wonder if it's possible.
It's a thing that's just not done. And like everyone wants a first free ascent, but
Yeah.
who's getting first aid ascents
Yeah,
of
but-
hard trad routes?
Or first aid ascents of things that have already been freed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just go back. Just
Let's go back in time.
flip the script on
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
Like Baron Green, you could aid Baron Green back. You could aid the start. It's got bolts at the start. You could
Their bolts are in the middle. Yeah. I'm not sure you'd be able to
big
aid that.
stick.
Yeah, just a massive stick.
just
Yeah.
to the top.
Yeah, exactly.
Clip
Yeah.
the bolt at
And then
the
you're
top.
sort of defeating the point of trying to aid it.
and
aren't
just
you?
top rope it.
Yeah. You'd have to just hook everything, and that would be
Desperate.
it'd be so awful.
Because the only dabbling towards aid climbing I've done is if I'm really tired and have run out of holds and I'm going to hold on to a can for a while and be sad. But how does it feel like leading aid? Because that looks fucking mental.
Yeah, I guess
any hardness, it just looks insane.
Yeah, I guess it depends on the aid. If it's easy aid, then it's totally fine. But I've only done like a very, very, very small amount of like what you would class as more tricky aid.
Right.
A very, very small amount. So I'm not well versed in it. But it's definitely a different feeling of
because you've done a
fear.
lot of it's scary, gnarly, deathy trad routes.
Yeah.
How do they like balance compared to relatively easy aid? Like, because A5's like, you'll die. Even if you get up it, you'll probably die.
You'd die inside.
But like, was it A3 you said you'd done?
Yeah, I've done C4.
So how does that compare to like E8 as a feeling?
I was quite, I was reasonably gripped, I would say.
Yeah.
It's like it's definitely a different feeling though, because when you're climbing scary things, it feels more within like your control, and you can sort of feel, because you can feel muscles and things. You can feel it going wrong. Whereas in aid climbing, I guess you're sort of like, you're just putting a little beacon or something, and then you're just like, oh god, just like pulling up onto it, and then you're like, oh, I really just hope that doesn't pop. And
I've read a couple of Andy Kirkpatrick books, and it's like, I was just doing so and so, and then all my gear ripped out.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
That's unacceptable.
Yeah.
So, I took like a 200 footer. It's like, that's not a sentence. No one's ever written that down before.
Yeah.
No one's been like, I took a massive fall. Luckily, like, a fucking bird beak held on like one grain of granite. It's like, no.
Yeah. I think hard aid climbing and the people who do hard aid climbing, they're different. I feel like they're a different sort of climber in a way, or maybe they have a different mindset. I'm not sure. I don't know. There is similarities, but there is differences as well, I think.
Yeah, I think I want to say Masters of Stone 2, and there's, I can't remember his name, I think it's Rick something, and he's aid climbing El Cap, and he's just like, they chuck a haul bag off, and he's got like a load of gear in, and he's like, it's A5 or A4, and he just chucks a haul bag off, and the whole thing just goes,
yeah,
and then he's like, right, I'm going up. Like, no, absolutely not. Don't go that way. Yeah, like free riders there, like this.
Yeah, but they love it, don't they? They love that stuff.
It's wild. Is there anything like off limits? Do you think if you got into aid, would you be like, I'm going to do A5? Or
I've no idea, to be honest.
Is there just no appeal in that side of
climbing?
Yeah, for you
aid climbing.
Yeah, or like ice climbing, or.
I do like some bit of ice climbing, and a bit of winter climbing these days.
How hard? Because ice climb again, terrifying, because you're just like, I wonder if this frozen water's frozen enough.
Yeah.
Like, how does stuff feel compared to? Because you're really good at being uncomfortable, but like you say, like with hard trad or hard rock climbing, it's on you. So how do you feel like giving that over a little bit to?
Yeah, I think with it's definitely a bit of a different sensation in terms of ice climbing and mixed climbing, but that's because you have no sensitivity through. You're holding a massive jug, and then your pick could be on like a tiny little edge or thing, and you just have no sensitivity through that, and you're sort of like,
you don't really know.
Yeah, and I guess that I haven't done loads of it. I've probably done I'm coming into my 4th season of it now, or 5th.
So was the video with Tom your first experience ice climbing?
Not first. It was Tom's first. Yeah. But like I'd done a bit like bits and bobs before that. Yeah.
Because neither of you looked super pro.
No. Oh no.
But
I'm not. I'm still not. I'm definitely not.
Someone visibly confused by which way around an ice axe goes.
Yeah. Oh, maybe that video that you've seen of me trying to put it on the backpack.
Yeah.
I think that could have been. That was my first time mixed climbing.
Okay, so that's ice and free. That's just sort of climbing, getting up a mountain.
Yeah, that's more like that was like Scottish winter climbing.
Yes.
So that was more like climbing on frozen rimed up rock type stuff. Yeah. Whereas ice climbing is like a different thing again to that, and that's more like climbing frozen waterfalls.
Okay. So that's
like pure ice. Whereas mixed climbing you would class as maybe some ice and some like climbing on rimed up rock and iced up rock.
Okay.
Sort of thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
all
kind
of
of two different things.
Like that side, just like it's winter, just sit by a fire.
Yeah.
Like, there's nicer things to do in winter.
Yeah. But I'm still learning a lot about that.
Yeah.
About that kind of stuff.
Do you enjoy that process of learning, or do you just want to be really good now?
No. I think I enjoy the process of like trying something new and learning. I mean, the learning curve is very quick at the beginning, and because it's also climbing, a form of climbing, I can kind of relate to it and understand it, and then improve a bit more quickly.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I think.
Like say, holding onto a jug.
Yeah.
And you've got ledges to stand on.
Yeah.
But then I suppose there's a point where you're having to really assess the quality of the ice and what you're going to use. But have you done much like mountaineering and stuff?
I've not done much mountaineering. I've done a small amount of alpine climbing with a friend out in the Alps and stuff. But in terms of like pure what you would class as mountaineering, and how I would class mountaineering is maybe some bigger style mountains, and I haven't really done much of that sort of thing. It's mainly been smaller scale,
sort of accessible.
A bit more accessible. I mean, mainly just in the Alps, really.
Yeah. Is there an appeal to like big mountain stuff? Or?
Yeah, I mean, me and my friend Matt and John were meant to do a trip out to Nepal.
Oh, cool.
But then like the whole COVID stuff happened, and
ruined everything.
None of that happened. But yeah, we were planning on doing a new route which kind of mixed in like alpine climbing skills, aid climbing skills, rock climbing skills, like all together. And I mean, I guess that's the thing with mountaineering and big alpine climbing. It's like combining all those skills that you've learned just to get up. Yeah. Because
there's a ridiculous slab on the side of Everest, but it's like most of the way up. So the problem is you've got to be able to get up Everest.
Yeah. I'm not. To be honest, I'm not like. I know I said I enjoy suffering, but I'm not. I don't think I'd be a massive fan of like suffering due to like altitude and those like external factors in a way. Yeah.
Like you make yourself suffer. You don't want
something else to make you
suffer. Like a suffering situation.
Yeah.
Because it is fascinating.
I don't know. I've never been to like high altitude.
So you just don't.
So I don't really know, but I can't imagine it's like that exciting.
I can't imagine it's that much fun.
Yeah.
Like, unless you're really good at it.
Yeah, unless you're really good at it. Who knows?
Yeah, like
I'm not
if you
sure.
can just like do what Nims does and just accidentally do K2 in winter with no oxygen.
Yeah.
So why didn't you use oxygen? It's not that hard.
Yeah.
What?
I guess maybe some people are kind of naturally have better are better to high altitude situations.
Yeah, I suppose that if you've done it a lot as well, you just adapt to. So we'll sort of slowly start to wrap up, but I'm inevitably still thinking of things that are interesting to learn about you. So the Wide Boyz is you and Tom.
Yep.
but it's also a YouTube channel and business.
Yep.
How did you find becoming like? First of all, how did you find becoming a YouTuber?
Yeah.
Because you're like hardcore YouTubers now.
Yeah, hardcore.
Hardcore YouTubers.
Yeah.
Like, how did you? Because I find it like I look at graphs on YouTube now.
Yeah.
And like look at what time people are online to see what like.
Yeah. All
Did you
those sorts of
find
things.
it like hard to get into YouTubing as like a career path?
I mean, I totally didn't see it as a career path or something to get into. Basically, like, I've always enjoyed taking little bits of video of things that have been going on when me and Tom have been climbing and stuff. Like,
Yeah.
you know, just like snapping bits of video. I've always
Yeah.
been like keen on doing that. And then I think when COVID hit, basically, we had the Wide Boyz business, and I had like a bunch of spare time in lockdowns and stuff. So I thought, I'm just gonna like learn how to edit videos because
I remember this.
yeah, because I'd never really done it before. I'd always like I've always been interested in taking like little shots and stuff, but I've never edited them together. And I just thought, well, I'll post them on like YouTube, and yeah, kind of just went from there. I was kind of keen as using YouTube as a way to also help advertise the business.
Yeah.
And then it basically just like rolled from there. I never really thought like, I'm gonna make a YouTube channel. I'm gonna make like be a YouTuber. Like, definitely not. I just thought this is a way of helping promote the business.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, I've always liked making like filming little videos. I'm just gonna learn how to put them together.
Yeah.
That was it basically.
It's really interesting because now you've said it, I remember like your Instagram story and stuff, and it was like the first Wide Boyz video logo.
Oh yeah.
And you're like, does anyone know like editing apps and like how I can make this better?
Yeah.
And then like 2 videos later, it's like slick. You're like, oh, okay. Pete's really good at this now, right?
Yeah. I just got like really into it, like I do with other stuff. I just got into editing videos, and I really enjoy it. I'm quite like creative, you know.
Yeah.
Like at school, I kind of enjoyed art and design and that kind of stuff. So
Made sense to
yeah. And it's just a different thing to climbing where I could be creative basically, and make videos. I enjoy it.
So do you see climbing as a slightly scary, deathy form of being creative then? Like for you, is it like a...
you know what, I've never...
I don't want to sound too wank, but is it like an expressionist?
Yeah, so some people definitely say like that's how they feel about climbing. They feel like it's a creative thing and a way to express themselves. But I've never really felt that in climbing. I've more felt about it in terms of a... I definitely haven't felt it in like a creative way.
You just want to go up stuff?
Always just like... I'm not really sure. More just in a pushing yourself in a... I think I feel like it more of like a pushing yourself athletic type way. More in a sport type way. Rather I think like I felt climbing.
Flowery, arty way.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I've always like found creativity in different things, and at the moment it's like making videos because I just enjoy the process of that. So I think I haven't really felt climbing in that sense.
No, that's,
I don't think.
Like my climbing motivation is I want to be stood on stuff.
Yeah.
Like I want to be stood up there, and the most interesting way up it is that way. Like it doesn't need to be like a deep existential.
No.
Like, but yeah, people just find it interesting. Like it wasn't a loaded question in the sense of like, oh, let's get some poetry out. So no, I like suffering. I try really hard. Yeah. And I try really hard, and now I'm really good at doing that.
I can understand why people like see climbing or feel climbing in that way though.
Yeah.
In terms of like figuring out moves and finding new routes and figuring out different sequences. It is quite creative, but I've never felt it in that way, I don't think. No.
So how has it felt becoming like a businessman as well? Because like the Wide Boyz it sounds there's a lot of climbers who like sell a bit of merch or do a bit of bits of stuff, but you guys seem to have just gone like proper businessmen, like making climbing products, making like importing stuff, making your own t-shirts, like doing loads of stuff. Like, has that felt like a natural transition for you? Or?
Yeah, I guess it's again just something else aside from climbing to put some energy into, and I find it fun to be able to share like my passion and crack climbing and stuff with other people, and you know, get people psyched and being able to teach people with crack climbing, because that's kind of how the business started. It was more like crack schools and teaching people, and that's kind of where it evolved from. And then really it's just like rolled from there, you know. And it's sort of like, oh well, why don't we do this now? And oh, why don't we do this? And then it's just like rolling and rolling, and it's just how it's happened.
That's really cool.
Yeah. Evolving process.
Yeah, rather than we're going to become businessmen.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. It was just like an evolving thing, because when we started it, you know, maybe we were putting. There's actually another person who's involved with Wide Boyz, Mark, who does like the stuff with me like day to day.
Okay.
And when we started, it was, you know, maybe we put like a day or two into the business, and we both had our other stuff going on, and then it's like, you know, evolved, gradually got more busy, like, and then it's like 3 days and then 4 days, and now it's just like we're both doing it
full time.
We're both just doing it full time, and that's like what we do.
Oh, cool.
So yeah,
that's really cool.
As well as climbing.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's just like doing both things.
And you've got like a ridiculous climbing gym attached to the Wide Boyz.
Oh yeah, it's quite nice now. Yeah, I mean that's also like with Lattice as well. So there's Lattice, Wide Boyz, and Dark Ventures, and we're all like 3 growing companies, all at different kind of stages within their company, but all in the same like area. Few units. Yeah.
No, it's really cool. I came down to pick some stuff up from one of the companies. I think it was Wide Boyz. And then like you look for a shutter, because I think one shop was being done up or something, but I like looked through a shutter and I was like, oh, that's Lattice.
Yeah.
Oh, that's.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a few of us down there.
Yeah. And it seems like a really cool little area to be though.
Yeah, it's good, and we all kind of, I guess, feed off each other's energy and like keep
all climbers.
Yeah, all climbers, and it's nice to have 3 different companies. We've all got kind of different things going on, but we can all kind of like share a communal space and communal being. So I mean, Lattice is the biggest company down there. They've grown a lot, and then there's like Dark Ventures and Wide Boyz, who are slightly smaller companies, and but we're still all down there together. And
that's really cool, man.
Yeah.
So, what's in your immediate future? What are you psyched on at the moment?
I guess in the very very near future, we've got the Brit Rock film tour coming out. That might be out by the time this is out, though.
This will be up. It's really confusing to say, because when people are listening to it, it's already up. But this will be up next Friday.
Oh, right, so it might... Oh, next Friday, that'll be the day after Brit Rock is launched then.
Oh, perfect. So if you're watching this...
Yeah.
Also.
Yeah. So there's the Brit Rock film tour, so I did like a film with Alistair Lee this year.
Oh, cool.
About a solo climb that I did in Norway.
Yeah.
So that's coming, and then had some other film projects which are kind of on the boil.
I saw
some like
hints of
concrete bridge crack projects. So we're hopefully going to finish that kind of stuff off, and then it will move into the winter, and I'm going to head back to Norway for the winter, and I guess I'll just be like doing winter scenes, a bit of ice climbing, skiing, mixed climbing, bouldering, that kind of stuff.
Really good.
Yeah.
That sounds like a really nice.
Yeah. So
like a good winter.
Should be good. Everybody always says like, "Oh, you're going to Norway for the winter," but
what, you mean like near where Santa's from?
Yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah. Exactly.
It's like where Christmas is all the time.
Yeah. Well, I think it'll be nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
is that like a
scene and
common? Have you been there for winter a few times?
I have. Yeah. And it's a different sort of stuff here. yeah, like I say, I've been getting into the ice and mixed climbing in recent years, so it's
Yeah.
nice to mix it up a little bit. Yeah.
Awesome. Right, we will wrap it up. I will put all your social media stuff, Wide Boyz stuff, all of that in the
Cool.
description-y thing.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining me, man.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
been-
No. Cheers for having me as well.
Yeah, I think you're like one of the first people I asked to.
Yeah, we've eventually got there because I
Yeah.
was away for a while. So
Yeah, in Norway,
yeah,
unsurprisingly.
yeah.
The Norwegian climber Pete Whittaker.
yeah, exactly.
But yeah, it's been a pleasure, man. It's been really interesting learning more about you. Subscribe to Pete. All the stuff will be in the description.
And subscribe to this channel as well.
Oh yeah, do that.
Yeah.
Like, comment, subscribe, all of that stuff. Ring the bell. Do whatever you need to do this week for YouTube to recognise I exist. And yeah, thank you, man. It's
Yeah,
been
cheers.
a pleasure.
Thank you.
Right, let's lift some weights.